Welcome into the UMBC Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Steve Levy. We've gotten a really late start to the semester in terms of doing Coach's Corners, but really glad to be back here at the UMBC TV studio. All the great students in the MCS 395 class, glad they've joined us today, and also glad we're joined by Heather Gelbard, second-year head coach at UMBC softball. Coach, you were here right about a year ago talking softball with us, so once again, thanks for being back and talking softball again.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Coach, I know it's spring right now. It doesn't feel like spring outside, but you guys actually took advantage of some better weather early in your season in late February, early March. You guys took the team down to the Carolinas and down to Louisiana to play some really tough competition. Competed very well on a number of occasions, but I think really you thought that this would pay dividends for you guys as you hit conference play. Are you seeing some of the effects of playing that great competition early on now starting to come to fruition as you guys hit league play?
Absolutely, and I think playing a tough schedule, it challenges you early on, and it challenges us mentally too, because the results aren't necessarily what we wanted them to be in the win column, but the process is in place, and working on the things that are going to make successful and are now making us successful in America East play. That was really the key in playing that early competition and early tough schedule down at East Carolina and Louisiana Lafayette. We did see a lot better weather. We actually had shorts and t-shirt weather in both, and that was wonderful. But just seeing how this first weekend went of conference play and the confidence we were able to take the field with, I think that meant everything in the world to us in knowing that even though it was a tough go of things, and certainly we were challenged on the field and saw some really great competition and were challenged, that it makes the America East, which is definitely a challenging conference, seem a little bit more beatable, I suppose.
Right. So make a comparison if you could. In basketball we see a lot of times, like even when like a UMBC plays in Virginia, you see the guard play can be kind of equal from the two teams, but really when you get to the big men, that's where the big difference is, I think, with the high majors and the mid majors. In softball, where do you see the primary differences from the mid-major level to when you play some of the ranked teams that you played?
Well, part of the reason I love our sport is size is way less of a factor than in basketball, where you can just out height a guy, or football where you can out muscle a guy. Softball, the size doesn't matter. We stacked up against East Carolina, and those girls were a lot bigger than us per se. But at the end of the day, we walked away with the win that day. And I think, depth is a definite advantage that some of the high majors have. They have beautiful facilities, and a lot of them have a lot better weather than us, unfortunately. So they're able to attract some talented players, but we're also getting some very talented players, and certainly we can compete with all of those teams, and we did. We did hold our own very much against all of those teams. But I think the size really isn't the factor. It's a little bit more depth. They're on the fields a little bit more frequently than we are. They have some advantages with facilities that we don't, but at the end of the day, the bases are 60 feet, the pitcher's mound is 43 feet, and you have to field the ball, you have to hit the ball and pitch the ball. So any given day, as long as we execute on all facets of our game, I think we can compete with any of the teams we played, and certainly we did. And we can compete with anybody, certainly in the America East Conference as well.
Coach, you talked about America East, and you had your first series this past weekend against UMass Lowell, and it was quite a good series. Got off to a really good start with a 6-1 victory, and then I guess that key game was the middle game where you guys went into extra innings and lost a tough one 4-2, and then UMass Lowell won that series with a final game win. But what did you see out of the team in this series against UMass Lowell? And I know that second game was particularly probably heartbreaking for you guys.
Yeah, and I think one of the things in playing a series is you're playing a team 3 times, and usually there's either a doubleheader and then a single game, or a single game in our case because of weather, and then a doubleheader where the teams have overnight to kind of make adjustments. So give all the credit in the world to UMass Lowell. We came out that first game, we looked really good. Our batters really saw the ball very well against their ace pitcher, and we did what we were supposed to do. We executed very well. give UMass Lowell all the credit in the world, and that they were able to make adjustments. And what I'm talking to the team about now is, now we have to make sure we're making the adjustments right back to their adjustments against us, kind of that cat and mouse game.
Sure.
So I think, you know, definitely losing that second game in extra innings was a heartbreaking one for us. But I think UMass Lowell was definitely a good measuring stick for us. They took second in the conference last year. They've also played a very aggressive preseason schedule. They're a good team, and they're better than the record indicates, again, because they've played that tough preseason schedule. And we're excited, you know, to now compete against some of the rest of the conference and see how we stack up.
Some of the highlights of the weekend, you had several of your seniors in terms of production really step up. Carly Lesko and Tori Alexander combined to go 10 for 19 from the plate. I know there were a few stolen bases and an extra base hit within those performances. And Kim Puccio had 2 excellent games on the mound, was your winning pitcher in that first game, and a tough luck loser going all 8 innings in that second game. But certainly those young ladies on the field really stepped it up over the weekend.
Definitely, and I think, you know, throughout the past couple of weeks, we've been having, as a team, better at bats. We've been doing a lot better job combating what the pitchers are throwing against us, and definitely you saw it pay off for those kids this past weekend. And I think overall, you know, it was a real team effort. And I think as long as we keep sticking with that process that we've had and execute just a little bit better, we should do very well in the rest of the league play.
And this is a question that I'm going to hopefully ask Bob Moomin next week, but I thought it was a good question to ask because obviously the talk of the last 2-3 weeks has been men's basketball, what they accomplished, defeating Virginia, the first 16 seed to defeat a 1, and what kind of residual effects that's going to have, not only in athletics, but certainly university-wide. From your perspective, when you see this happen, and now when you're recruiting young ladies to come to UMBC, and now it's just like, well, I've never heard of UMBC before. Well, I think that's kind of been erased after the last couple of weeks. What kind of effects do you hope to gain by what men's basketball was able to accomplish in Charlotte a few weeks ago?
I think just kind of what you said is that name brand recognition. People know what UMBC is now, and they know that we're a real athletic department and we have a lot to offer. We can compete on the big stage with the big boys, as our basketball team certainly did. And, you know, I think it's been amazing just in the past couple weeks how many people have reached out that, you know, had probably only heard of UMBC because of me that I've known, and, you know, reached out messaging me, texting me through social media. It's just been incredible. And, I mean, the response for our recruits, you know, kids that obviously already know what UMBC has to offer, and seeing what the basketball team was able to do, I think it's inspiring for everybody, including our own team, because, I mean, Cinderella lives. And, you know, on any given day, as I said before, on any given day, anybody can beat anybody. So, I mean, if that isn't, you know, motivation to go out there and give it your best every single day, I mean, I don't know what else is.
Exactly. Coach, I know you got a long way to go in your season, but I want to talk about your summer and things of that nature. And softball is such a popular sport in this area, in the Baltimore Metro, Howard County, Anne Arundel County, certainly. I know you guys haven't, you know, firmed up all your dates and things of that with summer camps, but I guess I want to ask, like, in terms of instruction for, you know, young ladies that are into softball, maybe the end of elementary school, beginning of middle school, that kind of age group, what kind of skills, what kind of things are you trying to teach them so they first of all really learn to enjoy the game, and then maybe decide, you know what, I do want to kind of pursue this as I get into high school and perhaps beyond?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Steve. I think softball and baseball too, but softball is such a game where there's so many fundamental skills that from the young ages, you just have to have the correct guidance and be learning the right way and the right things. And certainly with our teams and with our camps, we are very strong on fundamentals, and that's something we work extremely hard on with our own team. And that's something with our camps that we aim to teach the fundamentals, basics.
Right.
Starting with, you know, how to correctly field a ground ball, how to properly throw, because how many games are won and lost because of a bad throw. Something that should be completely avoidable. So, you know, we will start, and with our camps, we will build the skills from the ground up. We give a lot of instruction, a lot of very good coach to player instruction, good ratios as far as keeping the numbers down. And that's something that's really important to us in providing a quality experience where where we're able to really interact and work individually a little bit with each camper and give them the best possible experience.
Coach, we, as always, appreciate your time and know coming in on when your team has a team activity going, it's not the easiest thing, but we really do appreciate you coming in. And best of luck as we get into the heart of conference play and hopefully make a nice run toward the end of the season.
Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you so much for having me and letting me brag about my team a little bit and go Dogs.
Absolutely. And once again, we hopefully will have this on the UMBC YouTube in the middle of the month of April, but definitely want to publicize the softball team's final weekend of the season, the 21st and 22nd against Albany. It'll be senior weekend for the softball team. They have a great rivalry with Albany. We know about that, so get out there. Softball is a really entertaining sport to watch on the college level. Really talented athletes, and I think you'll enjoy some of those games, especially when the Retrievers take on the Great Danes of Albany. So really appreciate, once again, Heather Gelbard being with us, and we'll see you next time on the UMBC Coach's Corner.